This is the Tyler Morgan Show on Relentless Daring Media Network. Welcome back to the land of bourbon and bad decisions. This is the Tyler Morgan Show live on Twitch. Yeah, fun times. Oh boy, let me tell you, it has just been all sorts of cray-cray going on this week. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just been nuts, and I don't even know where to begin, but first, let me tell you about the best coffee that I know and absolutely love. That would be American Pride Roasters. Yes, American Pride Roasters bringing you the finest coffee in all the world. It is purchased and sent to beautiful, sunny Iowa, where it is roasted and blended to make fine flavors that represent great Americans, such as George Washington, Ronald Reagan, Doc Thompson, Keith Malinak from The Blaze, and so many more. Check it out. They have all these great flavors. Personally, I am a huge fan of both the Teddy Roosevelt is amazing. The Frederick Douglass is awesome. But personally, since I love that huge caffeine boost, I have to go with the one, the only, Thomas Paine, the remix, daggum, my brain, the Age of Reason remix, which is all 100% Robusta beans, and it's just like twice the caffeine as the regular, and it is so good. Great flavor. You get that caffeine boost, gets you up and going in the mornings. So check it out. American Pride Roasters. Go there, and when you place your order, you'll see the special directions. They're see that little box there in the corner. And when you have that running, you flip to it, and you'd say, hey, I heard about this from the Tyler Morgan Show. He says you're great, whatever. Just so they know you're hearing about it from the show. Check it out, American Pride Roasters, APRcoffee.com. Oh my gosh, I'm going Peter Brady. APR Coffee, American Pride Roasters, APRcoffee.com. Historically great coffee. All right, so getting into everything that's been going on, there is so much coming out in the Twitter files that I just haven't had time to digest it. He's had the second, third, and fourth drops, Elon Musk has, so I really haven't had a chance to get into the nitty-gritty, other than, yes, it's pretty obvious that Twitter went out of their way, either with the tacit approval of Jack, or they just he knew it was happening, but he wasn't going to say or do anything to let people know, so that way he had plausible deniability. Oh my God. Or the other option is Vijay and all the other people involved in the upper echelons of Twitter, and getting down into some of the middle management, they just did it behind his back. So in 2018, when he said, we are not shadow banning people, it's not that he was lying. It's either A, he was vaguely aware, but he couldn't speak to it because then he'd be talking out his butt, and he didn't want to do that. Or B, he had no idea because people were just straight lying to him the entire time. So, like I said, I really don't have a whole lot to say on that because I have not dug into these files. Michael Schellenberger has been going through Twitter files number 4 and tweeting about it on the twatters. So, I mean, and Schellenberger, actually, you stop and look at who has been writing on the Twitter files. Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi is a balls and strikes, call it as I see it, but he leans left journalist. Barry Weiss, She is a calls balls and strikes, calls as she sees it, leans left journalist. Michael Schellenberger ran as a Democrat to try to unseat Gavin Newsom. He is a proponent of climate change, although he admits that the climate catastrophe as being pushed is nowhere near what's actually going on, and the world we live in is nowhere near as catastrophic as what the climate crazies are. I said, if you have left-wing journalists who are saying, oh my God, this is insane, then there's something there. Although, don't get Mr. Keith Fathead Olbermann. The Senate needs to be holding hearings on this because Elon Musk is a fascist. He's a fascist. He should wear a t-shirt that says, I'm a fascist. For anyone who does not know, that is a classic reference to everyone's favorite fathead who loves to do his little YouTube show where he's standing out on the balcony overlooking Central Park in the Upper West Side and looking down at all you little people down here below me because I'm Keith Olbermann and I have this giant apartment and screw you. As long as I'm Keith Olbermann, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Blah, 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 Keith Olbermann, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I'm not getting into all of that. Yeah, Olbermann has been going off on Elon Musk and actually has been calling for Senate hearings because, yeah, that's such a great idea. You know where we need to have Senate hearings? Here's where we need to have Senate hearings. We need to have the president explain why he did not push to get a United States Marine who was being held by Russians for spying since 2018. Now, there's a lot of people have brought up that, yes, Donald Trump should have been working to get Paul Whelan out. As far as I know, I actually think Trump was working to get him out. He hadn't abandoned him. But the Biden administration, when they had the opportunity to say, okay, we have this, C-list athlete, celebrity person who she plays basketball in Russia. She knows the laws of Russia, but still feels that she should be able to bring her THC oil into Russia with her. Now, maybe she did legitimately, I was in a hurry to pack so I get over here to, start the season, and I forgot it. Okay, possible, but unlikely. However, regardless of the situation, she pled guilty. She had the oil in her bag. She acknowledged it. Yes, I know it's illegal. I had it. I was wrong. I am guilty. Gets a 9-year sentence because Russia doesn't screw around on foreigners with drugs in their country. That's who Russia is and will always be. I'm sloshing my rye whiskey out everywhere. Feel bad. But we trade what, and don't get me wrong, this is not Bo Bergdahl level bad, but it's still not a good trade. We traded a high level, I don't know if he's evil or just incredibly mercenary, but this high level elite warlord, I say warlord, not really a warlord, but he's definitely an arms dealer. This elite level arms dealer who is possibly responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans, if not hundreds. We traded him for Brittany Griner. Warlord, responsible for the deaths of thousands around the world. Basketball player. Arms dealer, basketball player. This is insanity at its purest. And I honestly don't know where we should be with it, because the insanity is just that bad, period. We're selling our souls as a country. We honestly are. When we turn and look and go, oh wow, yeah, she should have never been sent to prison. Okay, well, that's debatable, but a sovereign country has its own laws. Because we live here in the United States, and marijuana and other drugs, amazingly enough, are starting to become normalized, where we start off with medical marijuana. If you're going through cancer and you need something to help with the pain, be able to help give you an appetite because the chemo is just so bad and the cancer just hurts, you smoke a little weed or eat a gummy or two, and you go about your day, man. It went from that, okay, we have legitimate medical reasons. If you're familiar with the Penn and Teller series from Showtime called Bullshit, they did an episode about medical marijuana. And there was a guy on the show who he gets a monthly ration of joints from the federal government. Pre-wrapped, ready to go marijuana cigarettes from the feds. And he has, it's not cancer, but it's these bone tumors that get incredibly painful. And so he is very thankful for the marijuana that he gets, because it's, and he says it's not addictive. And a lot of research shows that, THC isn't addictive. But, some of these researchers, or some of these research studies, are biased because they're looking for a potential outcome, but it's neither here nor there. But, we've gone, the point I'm making is we go from actual medical treatment to make your life bearable when you get these tumors in your hands and your joints that you just can't live with. But you don't live in Canada where you can say, please kill me. We've gone from that. We've gone from, we're just trying to help get them through the chemo and all these other things. It went from there to, if you have depression, you can get on marijuana. If you have some sort of psychosis and the marijuana is going to help you, we'll get you your medical card and you can go on about your life. You can go on about your day. Just, hit a little doobies, take a hit off the bong, eat a gummy, whatever, and you'll go about your day. We've gone from that to, even here in Missouri, as conservative as Missouri is, we legalized recreational weed. Now, don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, that's what you're into, you want to try it, by all means. If it's legal and you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to put somebody else in danger, try it. If you've been using it and now you can legally get it, go ahead. But that's the slippery slope argument has gone insane here in America when it comes to weed. But in Russia and other places around the world, they don't take kindly to drugs. And it's ridiculous that we should have to bend over backwards to accommodate this poor oppressed woman who makes more in a year than I will probably in 4 or 5 years. combined, if I didn't pay any bills and saved up all my money, it'd take 4 or 5 years to make what she makes in a single WNBA season. But she's oppressed. Oh, the Russians, they wouldn't let me do this. Oh. And a lot of people were joking that the first time they play the national anthem, she's going to be at the helm of the brave. I guarantee you, she will either A, take a knee on the court because, yes, Joe Biden got me out of prison, but my views on America still haven't changed. Or she'll just stay in the locker room because Joe Biden got me out of Russian prison, but my views on America still haven't changed. So, I mean, where do we go? I sure as heck don't know. And just the whole idea that we have to bend over for this kind of this kind of celebrity. I mean, like I said, you go back to the Obama administration when President My Boss traded 5, not 1 terrorist, not 2 terrorists, 3 or 4, 5 terrorists for a guy who said, I just don't agree with the war and all this stuff, and I'm just gonna walk off into the Afghan wilderness. Yeah, you can look at him as being a traitor. I look at him being more of a deserter. But then again, there were techniques that started being used against American forces that were distinctly American. But I digress. Granted, with Brittany Griner, no Americans died trying to get her out. Again, this huge renowned arms dealer compared to 5 terrorists. It's really hard to say if one is worse than the other. I mean, they're both equally bad. There's 5 of these guys versus the one of him. But the one of him would have no issues selling weapons to the 5 of them. So it kind of balances out. We traded crap people to get back crap people. There was never any reason why we should have traded soldiers or traded terrorists for Bo Bergdahl. There is no reason we should have traded an internationally renowned weapons trafficker for a basketball player. But this is the state that we live in America now, where you are not judged by how successful you are. Now you're judged by how you could be the bigger victim. And that is horribly, horribly sad that that's where we're at, that victimology is this huge thing. Meanwhile, we have government and government agencies that will literally rape you and then be like, hey, we should be free from punishment. And yeah, and with all the Brittany Griner stuff, this is a story that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And I am not going to be able to get all of this in tonight. But it's pure insanity. All right, so you want to talk about how dumb the situation is. It starts off 2 years ago, at least a dozen women on a Qatar Airways flight to Sydney were ordered off the plane at Doha Airport in Qatar and subjected to forced feminine body cavity searches. Australia made diplomatic protests as both the airline and the airport are controlled by the government of Qatar. The Qatari government issued a public apology and said that, quote, those responsible for these violations and illegal actions have been referred to the Public Prosecution Office. Those responsible for sacking the writers of the subtitles have been sacked. So last month, just before the start of the World Cup soccer tournament in Qatar, some of the women filed a lawsuit in an Australian court against the airport operator and the airline. If you think that couldn't happen in the USA, or that victims would fare better with government authorities and the courts of the USA than Qatar, think again. Right now, there's a panel of judges on San Francisco's Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that is hearing an argument in San Francisco in a lawsuit, Michelle Luthauser versus USA, brought by a woman who complained that she was digitally penetrated, i.e. raped, with fingers in 2019 by TSA staff after they ordered her into the back room of the airport in Las Vegas for a pat down after she went through the rape scan machine. It's bad enough to require that if anything anomalous is spotted on the image taken by the virtual strip search machine, you have to go through a hands-on strip search. Which again, a hands-on strip search, which it doesn't even have to be, literal strip search. With a woman, back of the hands, underneath, make sure there's nothing there. And, inside the hand, come up the legs, preferably with a female officer, not a male. And you feel the area where you saw something anomalous and go, okay, there's something here that requires you to actually take clothes off, or there's not. Easy peasy Japanesey, right? Well, not so much, apparently. It's another thing to turn that into a body cavity search involving groping and penetration. Local police who were standing by refused to take a complaint from Mrs. Luthauser. Traumatized and unable to face TSA checkpoints again, she lost her job, which required frequent air travel. Eventually, after her claim against the U.S. government for damages was administratively denied, she sued the TSA employees and the U.S. government for damages, as she well should have. Now, this is where it gets dumb. Unlike the government of Qatar, who apologized, this is a government that has outlawed being gay. A government that will imprison you if you are a dude into dudes or a chick into chicks. They apologized for what they did to Australian women who are going through the airport. Our own government won't apologize to its own freaking citizens. This is why the Twitter account at RDMP Pods is the Tyler Morgan Show radical restorationist, because we have to restore this country to what it was. Forget conserving the good stuff, because there's a lot of stuff the Republicans have brought in over the past 140 some odd years, 150, 160 years since the Civil War, since the foundation of the party, which is crap. We need to restore this country back to the Constitution. That's a story. That's a rant for another time. Anyways, like I said, Qatar apologized. U.S. government hasn't apologized and and said that what happened was illegal. All right. Unlike the government of Qatar, however, the U.S. government hasn't apologized and said that what happened was illegal, or would be illegal if the complaint was, if proven to be true, or referred the TSA checkpoint staff for investigation and possible prosecution, which they haven't done. The TSA hasn't even tried to dispute the truth or factual accuracy of the complaint. Instead, the TSA argued that even if all the allegations in Mrs. Luthauser's complaint are true, the TSA and its employees have absolute impunity. Regardless of what torts, even rape, TSA checkpoint staff commit against travelers, the government claims that federal courts have no jurisdiction to hear lawsuits or even consider claims against them. That is the most asinine, pig-headed bullcrap ever uttered by any attorney ever. The idea that the federal government can shoot you in the face, but you can't sue them because we're operating within the bounds, and we thought he was a threat, so we shot him in the face. But here we have TSA agents playing Gropey Joe and pretending that a traveler is Tara Reid and putting fingers in places where there's no need to put fingers. But they should be able to not face punishment? What if a male TSA agent, while she's stripped, the other agent leaves the room? What if he were to rape her? Like, literally rape her? They should get impunity from that? They should have impunity from roughing someone up. They should have impunity against grabbing grandma's crotch. They should have impunity against grabbing your child's crotch. I'm sorry. The last time I checked, the government exists to protect us and to protect our rights, not to infringe on rights, not to make our lives miserable, not to make us live in fear of our own freaking government. But the TSA seems to think otherwise. Oh, well, we're here to protect the travelers of this great country. No, you're not. Wait a minute, I went through TSA at Dallas just a couple weeks ago. I'm going to show you the difference between airports when it comes to TSA. Pardon me. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Their TSA, there is no rape scam machine. You put your stuff into the box. You send it through the X-ray. You've taken your watches, your belt, your shoes, all this stuff off. Send it through with the rest of your stuff to be X-rayed. You walk through. If something goes ding, 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 they go, oh, okay, we'll get the wand out. We'll wand you real quick, give you a quick pat down. All right, all's good. Go grab your stuff, put your shoes on, belt on, blah, 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 and move out to the waiting area. Okay, that's not bad. Dallas. Oh my God, Dallas. Tell me what the difference is after I've taken everything out, put it into the machine. They have the rape scam machine. And the guy ahead of me is holding his passport in hand. No one says anything to the guy holding passport. And I'm like, oh, crap, my wallet. Here, I'll just take my wallet and assume the position in the rape scam machine. I'll hold it up above my head so it can be seen. If they want to flip through it, they can. No big deal. Oh, my God. I got griped out. Sir, what is that? It's my wallet. You need to put that in the machine and send it through. And then you need to go back and get scanned again. Really? I have to get a second rape scan so you can look at my junk a second time? Because I had my freaking wallet in my hand? What about the dude with the passport? Passports those are acceptable. It was the dumbest thing in the world. I was suddenly reminded why I don't like large airports and dealing with their security, because they're stupid. You get people like the cops who were the high school bullies. They had the chip on the shoulder. They had to prove everything. Then they get out of high school, and then they realize they're still chip on their shoulder because they still haven't proved whatever it is they were trying to prove in high school. So now that they have a badge and they can boss you around and they can detain you for whatever reason, they can make up a reason to hold you there while just to, they have no intention of, giving you a ticket or arresting you for a crime. They're just trying to hold on to you to make your life miserable for 20, 30 minutes. These people now can get jobs at the TSA. And it's like, why? And unfortunately, with the TSA being a federal agency, there is no repercussions. There's some big airports that are going to private security instead of TSA. And guess what? The number of complaints about jackass officers being rude to travelers and complaints that, he got all handsy with grandma. All that stuff is going by the wayside because private contractors that aren't unionized, because the TSA has the government workers union, you can actually fire people for being assholes. It's great. And honestly, this is what the federal government needs to do with so much. So much where it has just ballooned to this ridiculous levels of bureaucracy, especially looking at the military. There is so much civilian bureaucracy where you can have green suiters running everything. Dude, get rid of the civilians. Put the military in charge. Guess what? They can run their own stuff. I've seen it happen. It's amazing when it happens, but it's neither here nor there. So, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll get back, and we'll get into more of this insanity when it comes to government and law and all of this. I want to talk to you about Keto Chow. Keto Chow is a small company out of Utah that uses the absolute best ingredients to make the absolute best weight loss products available on the market. Their first goal is flavor. Who wants to drink something as a meal replacer that tastes like crap? Keto Chow understands that this is a hard barrier for a lot of companies to break through, so they have some of the best flavors: cookies and cream, chocolate, vanilla, real strawberry. These are the best shakes I've ever had. I've been using them for a few months now, and they are amazing. So go to the link in the show notes, check it out. You can search for recipes on how you can use their Keto Chow products to make amazing foods that taste amazing and help with your weight loss goals. KetoChow.xyz. Keto made easy. Drizzly is the leading home alcohol delivery service available. Imagine being able to sit at home and pull up your smartphone and browse your favorite wine, beer, spirits, and then have it delivered to your home in as little as 1 hour. Go to drizzly.com or check out the link in the show notes and start shopping today. Not available in all areas. Please drink responsibly. Drizzly.com. All right, so getting back into things, don't forget, if you like the show, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, Rumble, listening to it on podcast, rating and reviewing is the ultimate way to get more audience. So if you want to really help grow the show, do your part. Make sure you rate on your podcast apps, rate, review, make sure he's 5 stars, say something nice. It's great. Like I said, your reviews and your ratings help people find the show, so it's awesome. Again, also on social media, don't forget to follow me on Facebook. You can find me at The Tyler Morgan Show. Twitter, you can follow at RDMP Pods, Relentless Daring Media Production Pods, RDMP Pods. And that's just basic. I really don't do a whole lot of interaction there. It is all just, trying to promote the show. If you want to follow my crazy interactions, follow me at Fake Tyler Morgan. Yes, that's right. I am no longer the real Tyler Morgan. I am the fake, because the real has been canceled because they probably said something naughty, and you know how they get on Twitter. There's just no room for naughtiness. It happens. So again, check those out. Appreciate it. All right, so I got to talk about ICE. Immigration control and enforcement, because, well, I mean, if you ask, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, the border is secure. The border is secure. The border is secure. The border is secure, as per Alejandro Mayorkas. But, you have one job. If your job is immigration and customs enforcement, perhaps it shouldn't be that hard to do things like, if you're going to release people pending their amnesty hearings, maybe you should track them. Ankle bracelets, maybe a phone with a tracker in it. Just a thought. Well, ICE has been putting out some information publicly that their math has been questionable. We'll call it that. They forgot to carry a 1, and so what they're saying publicly is only off by roughly 18,000%. 18,000%. How do you screw up to the point that you are 18,000% off? Unless your whole goal is to keep weaving a narrative. As has been demonstrated over the past decade, or even longer, narrative trumps facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. Narrative doesn't care about the facts. Or your feelings, for that matter. But, yeah. This is from The Blaze. Miscalculation causes ICE to underreport illegal immigrants released without tracking technology by over 18,000%. Immigration Customs Enforcement claimed that the data miscalculation caused the agency to underreport the number of illegal aliens released into the United States without tracking technology by over 18,000%, the Daily Caller News Foundation reported. During a private event hosted by ICE last week, the agency distributed documents to attendees about the 2004 Alternative to Detention program. The initiative was launched as a flight mitigation tool to track illegal immigrants using ankle bracelets and cell phones while they await scheduled court proceedings. Thank you, George W. Bush, the compassionate conservative. According to the internal document obtained by DCNF, as of November 14th, ICE had released 49,459 illegal immigrants without any tracking technology. That's a big number. The reported figure on the document vastly differed from the stats on ICE's website, which stated that only 266 immigrants were released without ankle monitors or cell phones as of November 19th. Well, apparently, 49,200 some odd, 100 some odd immigrants had suddenly got ankle monitors and tracky cell phones in that little 5-day period. Additionally, the document revealed that only 8,118 illegal immigrants were released with GPS tracking devices as of November 14th. Again, according to ICE's website, numbers as the agency reported that Additionally, the document revealed that only 8,118 illegal immigrants were released with GPS tracking devices as of November 14th. According to ICE's own website, the agency reported that 56,805 illegal immigrants were being monitored using GPS trackers as of November 19th. A slight difference, if you carry the 1 minus 5, add 17, a 600% difference. So my question is, what numbers are real? Is it the we're monitoring almost 60,000 illegal aliens? Or is it the we're monitoring 8,100? Because that's a bit of a difference. You know what I mean? It's like you go to the store and the wife says, hey, can you pick this up? And you do. Plus some other stuff that was kind of expensive. Okay. There's a huge difference between spending $20 and spending $100. In this, there's a huge difference between we are tracking this many and we claim we're tracking this many. Unfortunately, because they have been so shady with their numbers, you don't know which one is real. I'm going to imagine that the document being passed out this private event is probably the accurate number, where it has the higher number being the those people who were released without any kind of monitoring, and the lower number being the more accurate for how many are actually being monitored versus what they're telling the public. Quote, the Biden administration is hostile to transparency, and when it does publish data, it refuses to respond to media inquiries regarding significant discrepancies like this, a former ICE official told DCNF. Likely, ICE communication staffers are having a lot of difficulty defending this administration's chaotic and lawless practice. The people who are speaking on behalf of the agency probably have no issues with this because it's kind of how bureaucracies work. A bureaucracy they exist to protect themselves. They don't care whom they hurt in the process. They don't care how many lies they have to tell. So whoever is playing mouthpiece, they have no qualms coming out and lying to our faces. And as such, I mean, they would just rather not say anything than actually respond to this. That's just who they are. DCNF reached out to ICE last week to reconcile the reporting discrepancies. On Wednesday, the agency updated its website to state that 49,166 illegal immigrants are not being tracked, while 7,905 are being monitored. Oh, even that number went down. Lovely. Upon further inspection of what participants were provided against what was publicly available online, it became clear there was a data miscalculation. Teams worked quickly to address and reconcile the issue, and now updated on ICE.gov. We regret ICE provided erroneous ATD enrollment data and worked to resolve the miscalculation going forward, an ICE spokesperson told the news outlet. Again, the odds are they're just lying to us. Straight up. And you have to wonder about the veracity of even the updated numbers because they have made such a habit of not being forthcoming with the truth. All right, now, and honestly, this all goes towards one thing that they a lot of these crazy lefties have been pushing in the last few years, and that is this whole, abolish the police, man, defund the police, abolish prisons, I can't have prisons. Who cares if some person's a social deviant? They're going to rape, kill, murder, and plunder and burn the cities to the ground. We can't have them locked up. Okie dokie. Well, as these views become more and more palatable, or at least the idea of saying these views has become more palatable, because now you can say the quiet part out loud and everyone just goes, oh, okay, and goes about their lives. They don't care. They don't get outraged. Incoming Florida Democrat Maxwell Frost envisions a prison and police-free society. Democrats have lost control of the House of Representatives, but gained some new members with far left policy stances. While Republicans underperformed expectations in November, the Democrats still lost control of the lower house of Congress, setting up a GOP-controlled chamber with razor-thin margin. Among the incoming freshman class are two Democrats who have voiced support for abolishing prisons. Congresswoman-elect Summer Lee, Democrat from Pennsylvania, a progressive Democrat, is taking over the district of longtime Democratic Representative Mike Doyle in Washington. Lee is a Democratic socialist backed by Senators Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont, and Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Mass, whose political path is mirroring that of far-left Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She has openly endorsed several socialist policies, including the redistribution of wealth, because yes, what could be better than taking from me based on my ability and giving it to someone else based on an arbitrary condition of need that is defined by the person doling out the cash, who will probably keep 90% of it, because that's what socialist governments do. They steal from the rich and give a little to the poor and keep the rest for themselves. Shh, we can't be telling people that. They will get very upset. As well as controversial progressive policies like abolishing prisons. Instead of thanking black women, black voters, and especially black organizations, give us the investments we need and deserve. Redistribute wealth, end police violence, abolish the carceral state, commit to building black-directed political power, and reparations. I'm sorry, I didn't own slaves. I cannot guarantee that my family didn't own slaves, either on my mom's side or my dad's side. I frankly don't know. So why punish me for things that I didn't do? I didn't go out and punch a black person in the face and steal their job. I'm not being a racist person who goes around treating black people just completely abhorrently. Why should I pay reparations for crimes, for abuses, for injustices that I did not commit? That's because you're white. We can't have white people being successful when there's black, Hispanic, and Asian people. Hey, you know what? You know who paid the Asian people reparations? The U.S. government. You know why? Because the U.S. government wronged Japanese Americans when they deprived them of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. It was done during the first Bush administration. Back in, was it 1990, 1991, somewhere in that ballpark, where survivors and the children of survivors of Roosevelt's wonderful idea to take these American citizens and put them into internment camps, we paid them for what was lost, and in an attempt to make them whole. Now you're asking American citizens, now you're not even asking, you're telling American citizens that, hey, Whitey, Cracker McCracker face, we know that your families probably weren't here when the Atlantic slave trade was going on. And even after the Atlantic slave trade was ended, maybe your family's all from the Northeast and never once owned a slave and were actively working in the abolitionist movement during the 1800s and the 1700s. Maybe they were in the South fighting Jim Crow in the 1950s and 60s. We're going to take from you and we're going to give to black people because they just had it so rough. And it's your fault because you're white. It's ridiculous. Florida gained a young progressive congressman as well in the form of Representative-elect Maxwell Frost, who endorsed the anti-police, anti-prison group Dream Defenders. Frost's endorsement of Dream Defenders included a call, quote, for prison and police-free society, end quote. He also endorsed other far-left groups, including the radical environmental group, the Sunrise Movement. Oh, it's the Sunrise Movement, so bright and sunny. Frost was endorsed by both Sanders and Warren, as well as several other progressive groups and lawmakers. The Democrats have seen an uptick in progressive and socialist membership of the party as the party continues to lurch leftward, even in conservative states. Texas will see a progressive Democrat headed to Washington next Congress with Representative-elect Greg Cesar, a self-described Democratic socialist who was endorsed by the squad leader herself, taking a seat to represent parts of Austin and San Antonio. They couldn't have anyone better. The progressive gains will serve Ocasio-Cortez and her fellow squad members well, as it gives them more leverage in getting their priorities at the front of the party. Houston Keene, politics writer from Fox News. And this is where, really, we are losing it as a country, that even in places like Texas, that's going to vote for a guy who is an open democratic socialist. We're falling apart. We, as Americans, we don't look into who we're voting for anymore. This is why I said, overall, being a radical restorationist, I get that having a policy difference over the size and scope of government when it comes to certain social safety net things. I can have this argument, and there are concessions I can make, and while I don't necessarily like these concessions, they're at least understandable. Having some sort of welfare system, I don't want to be complete dependence on the government. Go back to the Bill Clinton workfare days. Show that you're putting in an effort. It's one thing to need assistance. It's another thing to just sit on the government tit for your entire life. And we have people who they make a life out of that. And I'm sure there's someone who's going to listen, I directed at black people, welfare queens. Well, you know what? They're not just black welfare queens. Trust me, I'm from rural Missouri. I see people who somehow, despite not having a job, have relatively new cars, live in a relatively nice apartment. Of course, it's Section 8 housing, so they get for really cheap. And they never really have much of a grocery bill because they got the food stamps. I'm sorry, they have their SNAP benefits. They don't have food stamps anymore. Food stamps, that was for poor white trash. Now we have EBT cards and SNAP benefits. I've seen the people who make a living off of shamming and just sucking off the government teat as long as they can. People who are perfectly capable of working, they just choose not to. I don't know what that has to really do with anything, but and how it gets by. But we need to be able to have these conversations on, these social programs, on certain social issues. Unfortunately, there's such a radicalization of the left. And they're going to say, oh, look at the radicalization of the right. They're just so awful. Well, really, though, I feel like the right hasn't moved that far right. Maybe a little, especially with the Trump era. Definitely more people have moved towards the government's too damn big and too damn powerful and has too much control in our lives. Not to be confused with European left and right, where the right represents state control, represents more towards fascism versus, freedom. But that's neither here nor there. But we don't have these conversations about, well, okay, I think this is a good idea, but we need to have some handrails so it doesn't get out of control. Well, we can't have that anymore, because the minute you do, you just want people to die. Oh my God, you're horrible. No, I never said I want people to die. I just want people to be able to live a life without the government being all up their butts about everything they do. Without having to go to, big daddy government to, have permission to dig a trench, to build a pond, to put in a pool. Why should I, if I want to put an addition onto my house, why should I have to go to the government? I have to go get permits. I have to get, submit the drawings for approval. It's insanity. My neighbor, he wanted to run a water line out to his, out towards his orchard area. Years ago when he first moved here when he got out of the Army and then came here to help set up the transportation school on Fort Leonard Wood. He wanted to put in a frost-free line. And so he's asking, what's the frost line? How much does it cost to get a permit to put in a water line? And they just looked at him. Sir, you don't need a permit to put in a water line. What? There's no code on how deep it has to be? Where's the point where it stops freezing so I'm not going to have my water line freeze? I don't have to deal with all that? And it worked out great for him. We need more of that, where people are just left to make their own logical conclusions about what they need to do without the government being all up in their business. All right, so that's going to do it for me. Whoo, I got a little deep there at the end. I wasn't planning on that. But anyways, thank you for joining me. If you were here in the live stream, something happened with my Streamlabs where I didn't get my text, all the chat going on the side, so I don't know if anyone was actually there. I didn't see if anyone was typing anything, so I apologize if I didn't read any of your comments on the air. Whoops. It happens. I'm sorry. But again, those of you who are listening to this on podcast, those of you who are watching this later on YouTube or Rumble, thank you so very much. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, especially on YouTube. Hit that little red subscribe button and then hit the bell so that when I make the new video available, next week, and then especially when I come back from Christmas break here in a few weeks, it'll be I get the episode up and ding, you get the bell letting you know that, hey, new episodes there. Rumble, hit the subscribe button, notifications, turn them on. Again, thank you so very much for listening. If you are listening to this on the old podcast platform of your choice, remember to please leave a 5-star review, all except for 3 and below. We need to talk. After that, please write a review. And then share this episode. Send it to someone who you think will love this episode. Send it to someone who you think will hate it. I really don't care. As long as you share the episode so people hear about the show, that is the important part. Again, thank you so very much for listening. And as always, Stay relentless.
The Tyler Morgan Show is a Relentless Daring media production. The Tyler Morgan Show is supported by its listeners. To support the show, go to ko-fi.com/TMS.